How's it going, guys? So today I wanted to do a video just showing the Lely Vector feeding system working a little bit more. It's been about 3 months since we started this system up. Changed our daily chore work quite a bit, saving us a lot of time. This machine is full of a batch of feed right now. It's going to be heading out, and every time it goes out to the barn it always pushes all the groups up, checks the feed heights, and then runs out the feed to whatever group it's calling for. The same exact route every time, no matter where it's going, for the dairy cows. And then we have a different route headed down to the dry cow and heifer barns. It goes that way a little less often. It's set to push up about every 2 hours for those lower barns and every 1 hour for the upper building where the milking cows are. As soon as the one unit leaves, the one that was on the charger heads over and gets into the loading station there. They always leave from the loading station. Even if they're just going to push in feed, they'll always leave from this spot. Now it's going to wait for direction from the main controller there. If it needs to mix a batch or something. There's nothing right now that's calling for any feed. So we have a 200 cow dairy herd plus about 120 heifers or so that we're feeding with the Vector. So the unit's going through, pushing up. Check the feed height. Now the group it's going to be feeding is pen 1. You can see they're pretty much licked clean. We have it set to feed a little bit sooner than this, but with the way it worked out today with the milking, it was getting a little bit low right before milking, and then we have it shut off during the milking. It can't come to this side of the barn because the cows are crossing the middle. It's not a bad thing for them to clean this up a little bit better sometimes. I'm actually going to take a broom and just sweep that little bit out of there since I have a good opportunity to. Door just slides straight up. Then there's what they call the dosing roller in there spinning. Kind of keeps the flow of feed even. It's almost empty now. It's gonna speed the auger up. I wanted to mention, if you're a farmer interested in a Lely Vector automatic feeding system, there's a 5% discount available. Use the code 10th Gen. Give that to your Lely sales rep to get that discount. Or you can use the link below the video. Now it's just going to continue its route, pushing the rest of the feed. The one thing we have to watch for every day is get some cows that drop manure up here on the curb. It's something we've always had to deal with, but now with the automatic feeding, you kind of just not check, and you know the cows are being fed, but stuff like that still needs to be cleaned up. And it'll of course just run feed right into it. We have not been cleaning up the refusals. We just let the system refeed whatever the settings are at for different groups, kind of adjust it to manage each group. But this feed's been staying really fresh. Even in this corner here, this time of year it hasn't been a problem. Maybe right in the corner there's some buildup that can be cleaned out sometimes, but this is all good clean feed here. Smells really good. So right now it's going through, pushing that feed up and also checking the height. Just got that laser right there, reading the height across the feed, and it's going to take the average across the whole feed bunk. When the robot's driving in the barn, it's not following any metal strips. It's just using these ultrasound sensors. Right there, it's reading off the headlocks. See if I can get through the door before it closes it. Oh, we got it. Then when it gets outside, it's following the metal strips. So it goes out to the big barn first, then it comes in this way and heads up to the pre-fresh and special needs pens in there. It won't communicate with the computer and tell it all the feed heights until it's pushed the rest of that feed in. And then if there's a group that needs feed or multiple groups, whichever one needs it the most, we'll get direction to mix. So these are all of our different fences and the scanned height. Just started a manual batch. The first thing it does is starts up the mixer. First ingredient going in is the triticale silage. This is coming out of the third silo outside. Got about a 40-foot conveyor. A little gap there between what was laying in the conveyor and what's coming out now. So the vector system will send a signal over this way. This is our controls for the silos and conveyors. Right now this is the unloader that's running in the third silo. So I'm not going to climb up there, but we can see a little bit here. Kind of. It's a top unload silo. Getting it from that silo. You can see the conveyor comes through this room a little bit. There's a 40-foot conveyor from this farthest silo up to the mixer. It's the longest conveyor. And this is our grass hay box. We're not putting any grass hay in the milk cow ration currently. We're actually just making the switch to wheat straw now, so it's going to be wheat straw coming out of that box very soon. So outside here we have these first two silos. These both have corn silage in them. This one's full. We're not feeding out of that one yet. This one here is about a third full. That'll be the last ingredient that goes into this batch. And then down here we have the triticale silage. This silo is actually only about a quarter full right now too, so looking forward to harvesting some more of this stuff in a few months. Yeah, it falls down the chute. Funnel puts it in the conveyor up through the wall. Now this is the protein supplement going in. It's got soybean meal and soy hulls and minerals. It's already pre-mixed. This one's just getting back now. So we have our protein supplement in this first bin. Got an agitator on the bottom just to help make sure everything flows through. Not sure if that's 100% necessary. So now this one is just plugging into the secondary charger. These milk cow batches are 1,300 pounds. That's as full as we want the mixer to be. Now we have toasted corn going in. So here's the corn. It's rolled pretty hard and it's toasted, so it's heated up real hot to help it be more digestible. It's better than just plain dry ground corn, and it is easier to work with than high moisture corn is. So we've been feeding this stuff for a long time. And it's ideal for the robot system, being able to keep it in the bin outside, auger it in like this. These are Plenish soybeans. They're rolled and toasted the same way the corn was. And we feed 6.5 pounds of this per cow per day. It's about 130 pounds of the supplement that goes in, and then right now about 60 pounds of the corn and 60 pounds of the beans. So now the molasses is going to go in. This is some sugar, energy, and it just kind of coats everything in the feed. Helps keep the cows from being able to sort through it and get the goodies that they want. It also just helps the feed to taste better overall. The formulation that we get, we don't have trouble in cold weather with it getting too thick. It stays nice and liquidy like this all winter. Pumps just fine. Now the last ingredient is the corn silage. This is the largest ingredient. Corn silage comes a lot quicker than the Triticale silage does. It's a lot easier for the unloader to deal with corn silage, so it's nice. It doesn't take crazy long to get. It's like 550 pounds or something going into this batch, maybe 600 pounds. I think it might be closer to 700 pounds actually going in. So we've been extremely happy with the corn silage coming out of the big silos so far. It's just a big change going from bunker silos to uprights. Had to put it in drier. This stuff's about 57% moisture currently. Just the beauty of these upright silos, you don't have any spoilage. We were always kind of battling some spoilage with our bunker silos outside. So that's everything. Now it's gonna run a 10-minute post mix. We've been happy with the mix quality. And as far as the eye test, if you just watch it mixing, pick a piece of feed and watch it for a little bit, it'll end up working itself to the edge, falling underneath. Takes a little bit of time for it to work its way around, but you don't want to see dead areas, have a spot sitting still. That's not a good sign. We've done some testing on the mix quality. Do a shaker box test where you take samples across the feed bunk and then shake them through some different screens that are different sizes, and so you can see like how many small particles there are versus mid-size and large particles, to see if you have an even consistent mix across the whole bunk. It's mixing as well as our old mixer was with a bigger batch. It was one of the concerns, just going to these small batches. Are we going to be able to accurately load ingredients, and are we going to be able to mix everything properly? We have had no trouble with the mix quality at all. Mix accuracy, I can show that data a little bit. The computer tracks every batch keeps track of how much of each ingredient is actually going in versus what's supposed to. So here's our mix accuracy for every ingredient. So a lot of 99%, that's 96 on soybean meal. It's a small amount going into some heifer batches. Corn silage is 99%, triticale silage 98%. So we could not be happier with the accuracy the system's getting. Here's a report of all of the different feeding batches that it does. So it has data on how many pounds of each ingredient actually went into that batch. If you haven't been watching this year, along with the new robotic feeding system, we built these 3 upright silos. They're 24 by 132 feet tall. They hold about 1,600 tons of feed apiece. So this was a really big step to put the uprights up along with the robotic feeding system. We felt like it was the best option for us. So we have the 5 grain bins. Went with the poly. It's really nice, you can see through it and actually see the level of the feed. The 3 big bins, it's the supplement, corn, toasted beans. Then we have pre-fresh cow supplement and just some soybean meal. The big bins we're actually going to extend, hoping to add 2 rings to each one at some point. Get a little more capacity out of those, but we like them for the most part. This is the molasses tank. Just have a pump for that, and then there's 2 small mineral bins for heifer and dry cow mineral. So we'll just give it a minute and then we'll watch it feed again. We've been very happy overall with the way things are set up here. There's not really too many things I would complain about other than the bin sizes and just the way we concreted these pathways. I might have thought it through and done things a little bit differently than we did, but for the most part they're fine. Might have kept everything just a little bit higher so that the water would drain off, put some more drains in a couple spots maybe, but we're gonna be able to make it work. The biggest concern going into it is how are the cows gonna react. You know, we're feeding drier forages out of the silos. Everything's being mixed in these small mixers. The cows have done really well. They're actually up in production. We're making 7.5 pounds of components per cow per day right now, which is the highest we've ever seen. There's a lot of factors that contribute to that. It seems like every year it goes up a little bit, so it's hard to say how much of that improvement comes directly from the automatic feeding. But there's got to be something to the feed being run out more times a day. You know, cows are up and eating more small meals versus kind of eating a big meal right when we ran out feed twice a day before. So the idea with the consistent feed being available, it's better for the rumen health, keeps the pH more consistent. Feed efficiency, we're hoping to be able to keep improving that, and just how much milk we're actually getting per pound of feed. Before moving to this system, we were feeding twice a day with a trailer TMR mixer, and then we had a Lely Juno feed pusher driving around pushing feed up every hour. So we went from a pretty good setup to, I think, something even better. So it's not like we were doing a bad job before. Now this thing's doing an amazing job. But it's definitely an improvement, I think. As far as maintenance goes, or issues that we've had a couple different problems here or there. The one day the sensor went out on the one that reads the strip. I'm learning how to fix things. It's really not too complicated working on them, but it's all unfamiliar, trying to learn how they work. The one downside with the automatic feeding is you're feeding 24 hours a day, so at any time you can have an issue. Now that they're in for a few months, I expect them to run. I don't really worry too much in the evening that they're going to shut off, or overnight. I don't get many calls at all. It's so nice being able to save 3.5 hours or so a day of work feeding all the cows and heifers, have it be done better than we were doing it before. In one of my first videos with these, someone had commented that we should have them feed a little bit more in the late afternoon or into the evening, so that way overnight you don't have to worry about having an issue. I have the feed height set a little bit higher starting at 4 in the afternoon. That way it will get everything fed ahead a little bit by 10 p.m. There's not really many cows that need fed anymore. The system is set up to call my phone if there's an issue. And so I actually have it set now from 11:45 at night to 4 in the morning. It won't call me. Even if there's a problem, it'll just be stopped until I get up to milk. And it's not a big issue because the groups are all fed up by then. The thought was for our operation, this would be a perfect fit, helping my dad be able to slow down and allowing me to be able to take care of the farm and not have so many chores every day. And it's definitely been working out that way so far. So pen 1, they just got fed half an hour ago, and now it's gonna go through and push them up again. It's really nice for the cows because there's feed available more often. They're not having to fight over a head space. They can eat whenever they want. These cows are laying down quite a bit right now, but any of them that want to eat can. So our dairy barn has 2 row pens. Some dairies, their barn will be a little bit wider. There'll be another run of stalls along the outside wall. With that type of setup, then you actually have a cow and a half per headspace for eating. So in a barn like that, a system like this I think would be even more valuable because it's really going to help with the competition for headspaces. In these pens, actually every cow pretty much could be up eating. Might be a couple that couldn't fit in. So the one thing that was nice about us mixing feed was if I needed some YouTube content, I could just film the feeding. Now the feeding's always taken care of, so I can film the robot, but kind of just does its thing and definitely spoils you. If you have any questions about our vector system, things you want to see more of, let me know in the comments. I do try to read the comments. I don't always respond, but try to address questions in future videos. Okay, have a good one, guys. Thanks for watching.